Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously, it's no surprise, Season 3 was a significant update for many reasons. Not only did we see the return of Verdansk and significant gameplay changes for Warzone, some solid content between multiplayer and zombies, we also got another installment of Ricochet updates. They don't really detail what the updates are because they don't want to give any extra insight into any cheat developers so that they can get, an upper hand on them like they probably will eventually, because that's just the nature of anti-cheats. The anti-cheat updates, and then the cheat developers update, and then the anti-cheat updates, and it's just this never-ending back and forth, right? Ricochet's talked about that. Several other anti-cheats out there in the industry have talked about that same battle, right? And unfortunately, it seems like cheats are only becoming more and more advanced these days. Hopefully that's something that, developers can get under control, but specifically with this Warzone update, I wanted to talk a bit more about the anti-cheat and how, while this is largely been a very successful update from the top down for Season 3 as a whole across everything I just detailed, there is a slight concern that has been growing more and more as I've put more and more playtime into the game that directly affects the anti-cheat and some of its not so great features, and then also just the trust level with the community and with players when they go against other players, right? So initially with the anti-cheat update itself, I'm still recording this pretty early on into Season 3. I have a ton of playtime because I've been no-lifing this game because honestly I'm having a ton of fun back on Verdansk, but in my probably at this point 25 plus hours of game time, I have yet to die to someone and actually see full-on blatant hacks in any capacity. Now, it's very possible I died to somebody who was using cheats and they were just hiding it decently well. It was also possible that I died to a cheater and didn't get a kill cam and didn't get to spectate them, right? That happens. But as far as blatant, obvious rage hacks, obvious level 9 account getting nothing but headshots or unlock tooling and using wall hacks, whatever the case is, right? I've yet to see that personally. Neither has my squad as we've been playing. At the same time, I've also seen several clips of cheaters going crazy in Verdansk, but also I'm in a position where I can see hundreds of, if not thousands of comments every single day from you guys interacting on the videos and seeing your feedback. Oh, I really haven't run into many cheaters, or only saw one cheater last night in 6 hours, or ran into a lot of cheaters today, So it's cool that I can get all these mixed responses, use those to base information off of, use my personal experience to base information off of, and then of course we have the infinite world of social media to see things as well. So it does seem like, at least as of now, the anti-cheat update has deterred some things. I don't think, like I just said earlier, that's going to last because yes, there is always the situation where the cheat developers are going to update, but at least they did something with Season 3, it seems like, to combat cheaters to a certain level. Seems okay, based again off of my experience and the information that I have available to me. Now, as this cheating situation probably ramps up again over time until we see our next Ricochet anti-cheat update. I believe they'd talk more about that in Season 3 Reloaded. They mentioned they were going to put out like an analysis blog or something, so we'll have that to look forward to in a few weeks' time. But beyond just the actual straight up cheaters and what's going on in game with those and whether or not Ricochet is doing a good job on any given day, there is something going on in Warzone right now in specific that I think is going to lead to a lot of players being pretty upset with the response, I guess, from the anti-cheat. A big change that was made with Season 3 was to the overall time to kill in Warzone. They went through and in the Season 3 patch notes, they buffed the damage on a ton of Black Ops 6 weapons in specific, meaning that the TTK for those weapons in most scenarios is going to be much quicker than what we've been playing throughout the start of Black Ops 6 Warzone or MW3 Warzone. You're definitely getting those situations where you feel like you got absolutely melted in a gunfight, even though maybe it felt like you got more hit markers than the enemy, or you feel like, hey, I got a headshot on that guy and he didn't stand a chance, right? We are back to those snap of a finger gunfights, and it seems like that's the direction that Warzone and Raven want to go with gameplay, sort of bringing it back to that classic Warzone 1 gameplay where you can kill real quick, you can die real quick, but your life is more valuable because of that. Gunfights aren't necessarily as awkward. I do think they're trying to appeal more to casuals there, where they have a much easier chance in a gunfight when they don't have to land 25 shots to take out somebody with 3 plates and a ton of health, and they're gonna duck behind cover and plate up again the entire time, and gunfights are gonna last forever. What this means though is that there are a lot of players who maybe aren't as familiar with this fast TTK. Maybe they have not played Warzone 1 before. They've only known Warzone 2 or, BO6 Warzone or MW3 Warzone. So this is a jarring change for them where gunfights feel like they can be over in the snap of a finger. I've had several situations where it's like, I didn't even get to fight. The guy shot me 3 times and I was just done. gun, right? Other players who maybe are coming back to Warzone for the first time in some time aren't as mechanically versed in this. They're not super caught up with how to properly engage in every single gunfight, or players are buying into the hype and they're trying this out for the first time, and they're also realizing there are situations where they get instantly melted. And whether or not you agree or disagree with this faster TTK that we've got now, the situation that this presents is players, some ignorant, some just, you know, still learning, some just failing to believe that they could lose a gunfight, which happens more often than you'd think. It leads to these players having situations where they get absolutely beamed by an enemy, and they look at a kill cam, which, keep in mind, kill cams are not accurate. They are oftentimes what the server data can compile instantaneously and kind of paints a picture, but it's like if a sketch artist was doing it real quick just based off the information that they got at the snap of a finger, right? So kill cams, the devs have admitted to this for years and years and years, decade plus in COD. Kill cams are not accurate. They are not one-to-one. Sometimes they are sped up. Sometimes they're missing frames. They cut things. You can look snappier in a kill cam. You can look twitchier in a kill cam. You can look like you had no recoil. They're not accurate. So it's really hard to judge unless it is blatantly obvious in a kill cam exactly what's going on in that other player who took you out screen. So there's some misinformation being given to you by the game itself via kill cams. You now have the situation where this fast TTK leads to you being melted way quicker than you're probably used to, especially if you've been around Warzone for some time now. So instantly, you know, in previous iterations of Warzone, when the TTK was slower, you get melted like this. You're like, oh, that guy hit all headshots. That's weird. Or that guy insta-killed me from 100 meters out. That's weird. And then you watch a kill cam, feeds you a little bit of misinformation. You have sort of that confirmation bias there. I thought that guy was weird. That kill cam looked weird. I'm reporting him. Let's face it, because the cheating situation in Call of Duty has been so bad for so long, there is not much trust in the community, both with what we're told about the anti-cheat updates, but then also with ourselves. Peer to peer, there's not much trust going on. Doesn't really matter what level account you are at this rate, although it's more obvious when a level 35 has dark matter unlocked and is aimbotting people out of the sky that they're cheating, but you could be Prestige Master 200 and cheating because that account was compromised and that account was, stolen by someone who intended to hack on it and is now doing so. So you have this misinformation, you have this lack of trust, you have this crazy fast TTK. This almost is a way that does mask cheaters a little bit more, or misidentify cheaters a little bit more, or rather I should say misidentify innocent players as cheaters because of all this compounding in game. And this then leads to probably more reports on players that are not cheating just because there is that lack of information. I got fried because this faster TTK, the kill cam looked a little bit weird, and frankly, I don't trust this guy. So you send a report, and then that happens to another player, and then another player. And then this dude who might just be pretty solid at Warzone ends up getting shadow banned. And now you can kind of see where I'm going with this. There are now several compounding factors in Warzone because of gameplay updates and just how Call of Duty works and functions with its very untrustworthy anti-cheat, it's very underwhelming servers and tick rate and hit reg situation, inaccurate kill cams. All of this stacked together means that there is a good chance that shadow bans going forward here in Verdansk as the gameplay stays as it is now, and potentially it evolves and this changes some, but well, only time's going to tell. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see. There's a good chance that shadow bans do escalate more and more. And shadow bans as a system have rarely been addressed by COD. We only just got an official confirmation that Call of Duty wanted to address them and say, hey, yeah, they have to stay because this is how we confirm accounts are cheating and keep them out of the player pool for some time. They didn't really say, we know that it affects innocent players and we can't do much about it. They've tried to say that they are expediting the process, getting players out of shadow bans quicker, but then they didn't really address the shadow ban loop and like the trust score that your account has. So if you get cleared of a shadow ban because you got reported because of this situation, you melted somebody, they watched the kill cam, they said, man, I died too quick to compared to what I'm used to. That kill cam looked odd. You're getting reported and that happened a few times. Then you're shadow banned. A flaw in and of itself there because it seems so quick to trigger still after all these years. But then you get cleared, you're out of that shadow ban, and then maybe you get reported again because again, I feel like this is a situation that's going to happen more and more right now as there is still that lack of trust and still something more is established there, both with the anti-cheat and the community. That's going to persist. The kill cams are not going to get fixed or changed. The servers have not been updated, so you see that weird situation happen where you get shot around a corner, you watch the kill cam, doesn't look like they could see you, you are missing information from the kill cam, and then you get melted, right? So all these things compounding, especially with players that maybe are more so just casual and ignorant to the situation, I guess is the way to play it and spin it, leads to a lot of false reports. But unfortunately in this game, false reports have pretty unfortunate consequences with the shadow ban system active and functioning as it is right now. So while there is a lot of positive with this update, there is, from my POV at least, some skepticism here with the impact that this could have on the player experience, because I feel like it's going to take away the experience for a lot of players who do unjustly get shadow banned or do falsely get reported, and then actions are taken at least temporarily while they're put in that shadow ban loop and their accounts are under review, and that could diminish the experience of a lot of players. This has been an ongoing issue for some time, and now I feel like it might be heightened a little bit more because you have such a returning number of players that maybe aren't super familiar, or players that are ignorant to how a lot of this works, and so what they're basing their information on, what they're basing their decision on, is going off of in-game things that muddy the waters a little bit more. So it just seems like it's a very messy situation, one that I think Call of Duty could do quite a bit to improve. Obviously, upgrading the anti-cheat more and more, making it more reliable, and actually giving us a reason to trust it to a certain extent would go a long ways. Better servers, so you don't have these situations where it feels like you got instantaneously melted, or you shot the guy 7 times and they shot you 4 times and you lost the gunfight somehow, or you died 8 feet around a corner, you were halfway down the block and he was still around the corner tying his shoe. You know, if they were to go in and invest in those things more and more, upgrade them more and more, we probably wouldn't have these same scenarios arising as frequently as they do. You also tweak the shadow ban system to a certain extent where, yeah, if you get out of a shadow ban, then your account is listed as, hey, they were here before. Maybe it's a little bit more leeway on putting them back into a shadow ban loop or back into limited matchmaking. There's ways that it could all be abused and exploited for personal gain, unfortunately, because that's just the nature of the system, right? Nature of the beast. But I do think there's quite a bit that could be done, and I would love to see action actually be taken there. If you agree with that statement, simply drop a like on the video, because it will help share this video around, reach a larger audience, get more attention on this subject, and hopefully, ideally, we can have a positive impact on the game. That's the end goal here. Also, while you're at it, if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you were in the know for all things going on in COD, no better place than right here. I got you covered constantly with the latest need to know info, latest updates, meta breakdowns, things like that. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.